Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome back to the spooky Headbangers Halloween special. Today, we're actually joined by Sean from Ingested. When we interviewed him, we found that he was quite a bit of a horror movie buff. So we thought, what's better than having an entire episode where all three of us just chat shit about horror films? So, yeah, that's exactly what you're getting. It was really fun filming this. We got to talk about some old classics, some of the newer wave of horrors coming out. You know, a few tangents thrown in there. You know me and Brad at this point. There's going to be tangents. But yeah, if you like the podcast and you want to keep supporting what we're doing, A, we've got a Patreon. B, we've also got merch out. And if you want to like and subscribe the video, you know, for all the video listeners out there. And if you're on Spotify or any streaming platform of your choice, how about you give us a rating? Because it all does help out. So yeah, we can also find us on Headbangers Podcast on all social media, except for Twitter, where it's Headbangers Pod 1. The @ was already taken. That's not our fault, and we apologize. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Headbangers Podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. We're joined back by Sean from Ingested. How you doing, man? Start off with.
I'm all right, lads. I'm good. What about yous?
Yeah, good.
We're good, yeah.
So it's Return of the King. So when this drops, it will be Halloween season. But before that, want to get into just, you know, obviously you've got a new album dropping soon. So let's quickly run over that. What can people expect?
Signature Ingested sound with some extra elements. I mean, we've got 4 singles out at this point. It's kind of along them lines. If you like those 4 tunes, you're probably going to like the rest of it. Well, the odds are in your favor, I guess. But yeah,
yeah. I mean, to be fair, those 4 tunes are pretty banging. I've been listening every time I've got a notification on Spotify. I've been banging it on. So yeah, I'm quite excited for it.
Much appreciated, man. We're excited to get it out to all the ears of the fans. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
absolutely. I figured out that I think you're the band I've seen the most in my life. Like I've probably seen you guys more than I've had hot dinners. I think it's about nine times I've seen you now.
I don't know whether to be impressed. Don't know whether to be impressed or feel sorry for you, to be honest, mate. But no, thank you for watching. You know what I mean?
Always a cracking share. Anyway, so let's get into. Obviously, we figured out last time you're pretty much a horror buff. So like, perfect guest to get on for this.
I like. Yeah.
Let's start off with what was the first film you ever watched? First horror film? What was it?
Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm 36, so, you know, we're going back pretty far here at this point. Earliest memories of horror films. Probably something that would have been on the TV. I've got early memories of watching Aliens. It's, you know, sci-fi, action, horror, whatever. It's all turned into one.
Classic.
I ended up having that taped off ITV when I was a kid, and it was edited for TV. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time because I was 7, 8. But yeah, a lot of it was cut. I didn't see that film in all its glory until my early teens, the director's cut and stuff like that. So when I was younger, you would tape things off the TV. Don't know how old you guys are, but I had a lot of stuff off the TV.
Oh yeah. I mean, I used to rip them all the time. Yeah. I had Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, what a classic!
Mate, I had that. My nana recorded it for me. Gave it, like, I had a little handmade little note on it and everything like that. Nice. Even had the adverts. Adverts.
Had to have the adverts. Yeah. I'd probably say Aliens was one of the first scariest films I'd seen, and then I remember seeing Wes Craven's New Nightmare on TV quite early on. That came out in '94, so it seems about right. Maybe first time on TV. And then I seem to remember watching Halloween with my mum one year, the 1979. Come on, 79. So yeah, those are kind of the early ones I remember watching. Yeah, that's about.
Were you like Team Predator or Team Alien? Then, you know, did you ever watch like, because when I was in school, when I was in school, there was like a strict sort of like divide between the people that were Team Predator and Team Alien.
I was obsessed with Schwarzenegger, so I'd have to, if I had to choose, even though I think Aliens is the better film, and he's my boy, so I'd have to have gone with Predator. But nowadays,
good choice.
I can't. Don't you dare make me choose, man. Those 2 films, Predator and Aliens, are specifically in my top 5 films of all time. So
It's not a good choice. We don't have to blacklist it from the podcast now.
That's it, yeah.
No, that's no, honestly, I think even still, like the Alien and Predator franchise are still some of my favorite movies ever. I'll always go back to them, especially like Aliens. You know,
I'll go up as far as. Do you know what? I always liked Alien 3. Obviously, not as good as the first two. And then I had the quadrilogy early on, and I used to slate the Alien Resurrection, and I just didn't watch it for years. I don't know whether my taste in films has got worse or just my tolerance has got better, but I watched Alien Resurrection back maybe a year ago, and I was like, I fucking love this. Might be a nostalgia thing, might not be, but AVP and Requiem can get the fuck out of here. Still can't get on board with those films. And do you know what? Predator 2 gets a bad rap.
It's a good film, isn't it?
Brilliant. It's a great fucking sequel. Everyone can, sort their heads out, man.
To be fair, though, I think with that as well, like I think it's because we've had so many shit remakes or reboots. Then we go back to like the OGs that we hated.
Yeah,
these.
probably.
Like actually, they weren't that
They're
bad,
absolutely
like.
fucking glorious now, aren't they? The comparison of what we got now, but
yeah, it was like watch the latest one. Or like latest Predator, then go back to your least favorite of the originals and be like, like, this is a masterpiece. This is perfect.
Wow. I won't say any shit talking on Prey.
I did like Prey.
A sick film.
I liked Prey. I think I was meaning like the one before it, where that huge like Shad Predator.
Shane Black's Predator is
that was trash.
I watched that at the cinemas and I stood up at the end and went, that was fucking shit, and stormed out. A guy that was in the original. Writing credits and some great stuff. How did he fuck it up so bad, though, man?
I don't know. You know what's funny though? Like his character in Predator was like he was sort of like the jerkster. So it's funny how all that time after that, he was the one to make a jerky Predator, but it just completely flopped. But surely you must know the formula.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, the guy wrote like Lethal Weapon, fucking Last Boy Scout, and all this shit. I'm like, how did you fuck this up? Come on.
Yeah.
Your blood is literally in this film. Let's go. No, he fucked it. Completely.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we don't want to get onto Prometheus either because Jesus Christ.
Hey, I like Prometheus.
Really?
Yeah,
I
agree.
Prometheus?
I didn't. I honestly wasn't a massive fan of it. Wasn't a massive fan. Just didn't.
And I totally understand why. Understand why.
It just didn't feel the same way. And the entire time, during those entire films, I was like, okay, but when are you gonna get to like the nitty gritty? And when it did, it was like, don't feel earned. Do you know what I mean? Like it just didn't feel like it got there. Like
yeah, I do know what you mean. I do enjoy it though, but like I said, my tolerance for films is pretty terrible.
Oh yeah,
but I think like dog shit.
I think if you like didn't look at Prometheus like it's connected to Alien, I think you'd enjoy it more.
Yeah, I think if I did that, it would be a lot better. But because they're like, oh yeah, it's the Alien prequel. I can't get it out of my head. And then when I'm watching it, I'm like, this thing is it.
It was amazing to see the engineer's chair.
Oh, that was cool.
That you know what I mean? After all the years of seeing it and knowing what that is, and then we finally get some sort of answer. It answered a lot of questions for me that I was satisfied with, but obviously it didn't explain everything. But I enjoyed it for what it was. And I actually like Covenant.
I did.
To be fair, it was all right. I'm a bit gutted he didn't get to finish his trilogy. It is what it is, though. That's the film industry. But hey ho, what are you gonna do?
Disney.
It's interesting what they could have done with it. I think like Covenant ended in a nice way where you're like, oh, next one might be really good.
Exactly.
Like, it's cancelled. It's like cheers. Like, at least finish it up. Like you've already invested a couple.
You have to now. Come on, surely.
Yeah, it's like. It's like what they did with Firefly, just ended it mid-season. It's like, yeah, cheers, mate.
A lot of stuff like that. There's so many things that just fucking fall by the wayside. You're just like, just give it a minute for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean?
They did that with Jupiter's Ascending. It came out like during COVID.
And Punisher as well.
And yeah, I fucking loved it. I thought it was all right, but it got shit reviews. And Netflix were like, oh, we've cancelled it. I was like, fucking what? It ends right on a cliffhanger as well. And I was there like, are you taking the piss? It got me into all the comics. So I was reading that. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see this in the show. And then Netflix like, yeah, fuck you, Nick. And just swept the rug from underneath me.
Yeah, I try not to get too attached these days because you never know.
So as well, I wanted to get into like what was the horror film that like sparked your like obsession with horror? Like what was it that's like that was the moment where you're like, no, I'm gonna proper deep dive in it.
it's hard to say. Being young, I wouldn't have known what deep diving is. I was just all about films, to be honest. You know what I mean? Obviously, action was one of the first things that kind of grabbed me. Like I said before, Schwarzenegger was there and all that kind of thing. But I think once I just used to pick up VHS at H&V, obviously when they still sold VHS, and I would always go to the horror section and just see what's going on. And I think from watching Nightmare on Elm Street or Wes Craven's New Nightmare early on, I think I kind of gravitated towards Freddy Krueger early on. And I obviously got all their stuff. And I can't remember how I got onto Jason. I have no idea. I just remember having them, and I remember picking them up every now and then and getting a newer one and whatever. But I remember getting a Hellraiser box set on VHS, and that kind of grabbed me. I think it would have just been, I like the way that looks. Can I get this? Yeah. So I'll just guess and just buy shit and just figure it out. Do you know what I mean? And 9 times out of 10, I picked up something decent. But yeah, definitely the earlier things back then that I'd seen HMV would have been Hellraiser, Friday the 13th stuff, Nightmare on Elm Street, and I had a double edition of it. Had Halloween 2 on it. We were back to back on a VHS, and that was one of the early ones I had as well. I didn't pick up anything. I didn't pick up 3 because I knew he wasn't in it. Michael Myers wasn't in it, and I was like, nope, not interested. And I actually watched 3 back maybe a decade ago, and I went, this is fucking brilliant. I was gutted that I ignored it for so long, but I don't think I'd have liked it as a kid. It wasn't what I was looking for. Do you know what I mean? I was too much of an idiot. I want some knobhead in a mask. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, 3 is
Tell you what though, like, I do miss the blockbuster days, because I think what ruins movies for me now a tiny bit is just like I'll get too much into reading reviews of stuff and watching the reviews on YouTube, and I feel like it automatically warps my perception of what I think the film will be. When before I would watch the film, maybe rent it from Blockbuster, and then like years later I'll like, I wonder what the reviews were for that, and it'd be like 40%. I'm like, nah, it's so much better than that. But now I'm just like, if it's not over 50, I'm like, oh, it must be shit then. And I probably miss out on so much.
I've never ever been into. Well, like I said, I'd just get things just because they look cool and I was young, and I wouldn't even know where to look for reviews back then. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's never come into me to like, oh, I better check the review of this. I'll watch the film and the occasion I'll have a look and see what people are saying about it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, fuck off. So I just know to ignore them because I completely don't agree with anything that I read. So I'd rather watch with my own eyes and gather my own fucking opinion of it.
Oh yeah, I think like I had a moment like that. Have you ever seen the film Evolution? It's like a comedy.
Is that the one with David Duchovny?
I think so, because aliens invade.
The dude from X-Files.
Yeah, aliens invade and all that. It got shit reviews, right?
I've seen it. It's been fucking years since I've seen it.
It was one of the funniest films I ever watched when I was a kid. Because we used to. Like this was like when I was like pretty young, and it was like we'll go to Blockbuster. Yeah. We get to rent
like a 12 on it.
Yeah, you get to rent a film. One of you can pick one. Like it's rolling on. Next week it's your brothers, next week it's your sisters, and all that. And I remember being like, oh, "What's this?" So I rented it, and everyone we were pissing ourselves. And then when I was older, I looked. I was like, "I wonder what the Rotten Tomato scores on that." And it's an absolute shit score. Yeah. It's such a bad score, but I'm there like, that's fucking. It's such a funny film. Like,
there's nothing that can be done now because that's already setting you at a young age. No one can say anything to you now about that film. You've already made it your mind. You've already enjoyed it. It doesn't fucking matter, man.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Just trumps all.
Definitely. Exactly. I kind of wish I was into horror when I was younger, because I'm not. I used to be so bad with horror. Like I'm not even kidding. I used to know when horror adverts were going to come on just from the music, and if it was on the TV, I'd used to absolutely shit myself and run off. Now, favorite genre. It's like I was there. I think it's because I missed out early on.
Yeah, that sucks to be you, man. I'm glad I was allowed to watch the films I was when I was younger. I mean, it's pretty much frowned upon these days, you know what I mean? But it was the early 90s. No one gave a fuck. Yeah, can I watch this? Yeah, whatever. It's fine. So I'm glad I got that opportunity from my parents, to be fair.
Oh yeah, my mum and dad used to get like dodgy copies of films.
Hell, yeah.
And they used to, they always everyone had that dodgy mate where he's like, he's the only guy on the street with a CD burner.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, oh yeah, my mum and dad would buy obviously films for them, but they're like, you can't watch these. I remember me and my brother used to like sneak down in like the middle of the night to watch them. I remember watching Kill Bill, all the like Terminator, all this shit. And my mum, we used to say shit to my mum, and she was like, "How the fuck do you know about like shit like that?" It was like, "Oh, no reason." And they'd find us like, "Hang on a fucking minute, they've been watching like all these films, and we had no clue, like 18 plus fucking films and shit."
Oh yeah, back when I was younger though, like there was a guy, I can't remember who the fuck he was, but he had like just a printable sheet that had all the bootlegs, but the bootlegs were tape. They were VHS. So I used to get these bootleg VHS tapes. I had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Child's Play, and all this shit. I was like, yeah, man, give me this shit. My mum didn't give a toss. I don't even know where I got the guy's connection from, but I was probably like, yeah, I would have been like fucking 9 or 10. God knows. God knows, man.
Nice. What film scarred you the most? Like, do you ever like think about one that no matter when you put it on, it's like fucking hell, that one hit deep?
I ain't got the conventional kind of, not scarred as in, oh God, I'm terrified. Do you know what? I watched, I'll say two things. The first one that affected me as a kid was it must be most people's, Terminator 2 when he gets put in the lava.
Yeah.
Fucking thumb up. Like,
I was crying at that. I was like, well, sad.
That, I remember being really upset with that for a while. And then I remember the first time I saw The Exorcist.
You know what? The Exorcist, like when you watch it now, like you're like, wonder why people like went crazy over it. But I remember watching that like in my early teens, thinking, nah, this is actually pretty fucking. This is actually really like scary and still like quite psychological.
It's horrendous. It's still visceral and brutal.
Oh
like, the visuals and the concept of it, and you got to remember it's 1973, so it's like, what the fuck were they thinking about? Do you know back then? But that was definitely one of the films. I mean, I watched it. I think it was like, I'm trying to think back now. It came out in 73. I think it was like a 25-year or 20 or 25-year like rundown of The Exorcist, because it was in the mid-90s at some point, and there was like all these programs surrounding it, and there was one of them as all the deaths of the people that worked on the film, and then I watched it. And I just remember, my mum, certain films, my mum would be like, you're not watching that, not watching that. Yeah. And I remember Exorcist being one of them, but there was an opportunity when it came on the TV to watch it. And I do remember just being like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? And that stuck with me a bit. So probably that, it didn't scar me, but it certainly opened my eyes up to certain, the aggressiveness of a film like that. I was pretty shocked as a kid, to be fair.
Yeah, I think like back then as well, like, with these horror films coming out, especially something like The Exorcist, with like, this kind of subject matter that it was about, like when it was the first of its kind of all these films, like it's going to hit so much harder. Like now that, when, say, for example, me and Nathan growing up, like, all of this was already done. Like, we don't see many films now that like, the totally original concept, oh shit, no one's thought of that. But like, back then, like, fuck, I've never seen anything like this. This is like totally scarring. And all, like I said, all the stigma around it being like, people dying on the set.
Yeah.
Like it almost creates like a bigger than life sort of fear to it, doesn't it?
I wish I could have been there to understand what it'd been like. The first of its kind, because I can't think of another film before that would have had the same impact that it did, especially, like I said, the early 70s. Fucking hell. And it's still, and it holds up now. Still holds up, of like I said before, how visceral it feels. And just.
Oh, yeah. What my I think my nana grew up when it originally came out, and she was saying like it was like no matter what channel you turned it on, it's always fucking playing. Like, oh yeah, like 5 people fainted at the cinema. Seeing Exorcist. Like,
I believe it.
When you go, because when you watch like films from the 70s back then, like even their horrors, like it wasn't nothing to be like terrified of. But then like you've got like this young girl like stabbing herself.
Oh yeah.
Like that was like, it makes me wonder how the fuck did the studio go, yeah, I think we can release this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure how that sort of film got a green light, but yeah, I'm fucking glad it did, because it's fucking amazing.
I mean, it changed horror, like, because then I think I think a lot of people went, so the bar's being set now.
Yeah.
So like this is what we can get away with, because then we can just argue, hey, Exorcist was worse, mate.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, I think about things like, and it's like 5 years prior, you had like Night of the Living Dead. It was fucking black and white.
Yeah.
5 years prior, that's what you had, and then skip 5 years, you got the fucking Exorcist. That is a jump.
Oh
in
yeah,
Oh,
big
yeah.
jump,
sort of
big
like
jump.
blows the mind, man.
It's
How many
you know,
films did it inspire after it as well? Like,
oh,
Exactly.
so many. There was like people getting priests out to cinemas, like blessing the place first, and it's like it just must have been such a shock to the system. I imagine the
Yeah.
first first group of people watching that in the cinema is like, right, you're the first ones ever to watch this film. Imagine how much they brick themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like just instantly, like, and then like it came out like, going, mate, it's far worse than you thought.
Yeah.
Just go home, refund the tickets.
No, totally, man. Fucking mental.
Oh yeah. What was like the most obscure horror film you've ever watched?
Any sort of criteria, just unheard
just
of
like-
or just strange or
Ones where it's like they don't really get like a lot of attention. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't see a lot of people talking about it. But it's like a really good film and it's got a bit of a cult following.
fucking hell. Just trying to go through my shit Blu-ray collection in my brain, see what's going on. I was going to say The Blob, but The Blob fucking received pretty well. 1988, The Blob. That's one of my favorites. But again, I still think that's quite a well-known one. It's not particularly obscure, I don't think. There's a
I don't
film
think I've seen The
called.
Blob.
You need to fucking watch The Blob.
Is it good? Is it like a serious horror
Christ.
film?
Yeah, it's a serious horror film.
Okay, right.
It was directed by Chuck Russell, who did Dream Warriors, the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Right.
And the screenplay was done by Frank Darabont, who ended up doing Shawshank Redemption and worked with
Fucking
The
hell.
Walking Dead and all that kind of shit. You'll see a few actors from Walking Dead in this film because obviously they work around the same kind of actor pool, and they've brought these people back. But if you're into 80s gore films, really fucking well done. The special effects are fucking insanely good. Like, trust me, you need to watch that film. It's in my top 10 films. So I guess that's a good example. I watch. There's one called Brain Dead. Don't confuse it with the Peter Jackson film. Which is Dead. It's called Dead Alive in the States, and I think we called it Brain Dead over here. It's called Brain
Right.
Dead, and it's got Bill Paxton and Bill Pullman in it, and that's quite a fucking weird one. That's worth a watch. You can tell the budget's not the greatest, but it's quite a cerebral horror film, and it's sick. I recommend Brain Dead. I think it's 92, maybe something around there.
Okay.
Maybe 1990, but yeah, he's probably not heard of. I'm guessing you've not heard of it. It's quite an obscure one.
Yeah,
I'll check that out.
It's not passed by my radar. Really. I think one of the most obscure ones I've watched is I don't know if you've heard of Martyrs.
I know what Martyrs is. I've still never watched it.
Mate, it's one of those things where you don't know if you can recommend it to someone.
Yeah, I've heard about it. There's never been an opportunity when I've turned around and I've been able to watch it. It's never been on anywhere. I've never picked it up on Blu-ray because I have to buy it. I have to buy the film, so I have to know about the film to buy it. I prefer to buy it rather than watch it. But even certain films like that, they don't stream well, and you can't fucking find them all the time. So, but it is on my radar, and I do want to watch it because I know it's quite shocking in certain areas.
Good.
Yeah.
Hats off to the special effects, but it's one of those films that like afterwards you have to like stick on something we're really happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where you're just like, you know what, Moana, go and watch something like really uplifting, because it for me one of the films that like proper stuck with me, because like over COVID I was like, I want to get into like horror more and everything. So I watched like a disturbing film, Iceberg. I was like, I'm not going to touch the bottom, but I'll dabble in between like the top and like middle. Yeah. And I watched that, and I was like, yeah, like, I think that was the first one on the list that I watched. I was like, I don't think I can get worse than this. Like it just proper affected me. Like our last like messaged me like going, "Are you okay? You haven't responded in a little bit." I was like, "Nah."
I presume you've seen a Serbian film.
Yeah, I see that Serbian film that fucked me up. That fucked me up. Like, because I think I watched that actually when I was in high school,
That's a one watch. That's a one watch deal. That film. Isn't it?
Yeah, that no one ever goes, I'm gonna watch that again. Like, because I had a weird mate. He was really into his like really like dark shit.
Yeah.
So like he was like, oh, watch Serbian film. It's really good. Didn't tell me the backstory. So I watched that. I think at about 15. Finished it. I was like,
that's a lot to take in for a 15-year-old.
Yeah, mate.
Christ.
I was like, I remember walking away.
Sessions after.
Yeah, mate. I was not old enough or mature enough to take in what I'd watched.
No.
Like that fucked me up. Like I was like, it's genuinely scarred me for days. Like I'd be walking around high school just being like, I think I fell out with him over it.
I don't blame you, to be honest, mate. It's not one I'd ever recommend anyone to watch. Anyway, Jesus Christ.
I'm not even kidding. I came in the next day and I was like, "You're a fucking prick." They were there like, "Why?" I was there like, "Why the fuck would you recommend that to me?" They were there like, "Oh no, I thought you'd like it." I was like, "Who the fuck would like that?"
I don't think I know anyone who likes that film.
No, like who in the right mind be like, "Oh yeah, I like that." He was clearly joking and being like, "Oh yeah, I thought you'd like it." Yeah. But it was just like one of those things. Was like, nah, that's just something I could have gone my entire life without watching and being thankful for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that became popular in like when I was in high school. My mate told me to watch it, watched it, scarred me for life. I'll never watch it. Yeah,
it's popular for the shock value, though, isn't it? Especially being in high school, it's word of mouth. Oh, you gotta watch this. It's because it's shocking.
Well, it's like because I grew up in the time with like when I was in high school, like people would share like live leak fucking links and shit like that. So
that was a little bit out. That was a little bit after my book. Yeah, fuck that shit.
Like, I grew up in like that sort of generation. So it's like it's some of the shit I saw at a young age probably shouldn't have ever seen. Like because I had weird mates.
It's life now.
They'd like send like a link and you'd be like, "What the fuck's this?" And you click on it and it'd be like the most terrible shit you'd ever see. And it's like it was all just so there, like there was nothing stopping you from being able to see it.
There was a website when I was in high school that's where you'd go to see that shit. It's called rotten.com, and that's
I've heard of rotten.com.
The only thing I remember about that kind of thing, because it wasn't when I was in high school. You didn't share links like you do now. We had Snake on our phones and shit. It would just you have to go and this is the website. Go and look at this thing. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, rotten.com was where you'd see all that stuff.
Oh,
can't believe I fucking remember that.
No, I just had like it was a thing, and it got that bad where we had to have like an assembly on it and shit like that. Where it's like, yeah, if anyone's ever caught sharing these links, they're getting like we had like a police officer at our school and all that.
Fucking getting hell.
Yeah, they had like
extreme.
No,
listen, kids, you've watched too many beheadings.
Yeah, no, you got to think
too
about
far
it.
This time.
I thought maybe it's a bit of an overreaction, but thinking about it now, if you had like an entire year of like kids sending.
Watching people getting murdered.
Yeah, and like people jumping off of buildings and splattering. I think it's warranted for maybe a police.
It's absolutely fair enough.
Right. What the fuck are you doing? Like,
that can get out of hand.
It was pretty bad. Wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
No. Fucking hell.
Honestly, fucking worst time not worst time in life, but it's still scarred me to this day. What would you say is like your least favorite like horror movie trope? Like something that you always see pop up, and you're there like, why is this in here?
Like jump scares, predictability, like that kind of stuff.
I mean, I was gonna go for what you just said. I was gonna go jump scares, but sometimes it's effective. I don't know. What pisses me off. I might have to go with jump scares, to be honest. But I'd be a hypocrite because I like certain jump scare type films. Like I like the Conjuring films, and they're basically it's their bread and butter, isn't it? Fucking jump scare of that. I used to get when I was young. I used to get pissed off with like just pointless sex scenes. It was just rammed in there for no other reason than just.
Absolutely.
I used to get on my tits a bit, and that seemed a bit weird from someone who's, young and watching fucking horror films. But yeah, the sex scenes used to do me head in.
I think for me, because I thought about this as well. I was like, I wonder what pisses me off about horror films. But like, I think for me, it's like obviously sometimes it can have a really great plot and like, a great twist at the end, whatever. But then I think sometimes the characters are really dull. Like they'll make them like the most generic. Like there's always like the nerdy character or the jock or something like that. And it's just like you can almost predict the entire film that way, which sometimes it's fun. If it's like a classic, then I'll let it go. But if it's like a film that's come out 2 years ago, I'm like, come on now, this has been done a million times.
Ain't we seen this before? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm like, come on. But then like I liked them when they make them like more interesting, like, if the characters got depth and like, you actually care about the characters, dying, then it's a bit better. Sometimes you're like, oh, well, I don't give a fuck about.
I want all of them to die. I don't really care about the new people. Yeah.
And it's just like, I'll just get through them. I'm on the fucking kill side right now. Yeah, that's my most annoying trope.
I think mine is when like, because like now we've gotten used to like people going, they'll hear like a bump and they're like, oh, let's go see it or something like that. That pisses me off. Yeah, make it realistic. Have them shitting themselves in the bedroom and then the fucking paranormal shit comes to them. Do you know what I mean? I like shit like wait, it's kind of grounded. I hate when someone's like, oh yeah, I had like some like loud smashing downstairs. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run down
check it out.
Yeah, it's like
in my underpants.
Yeah, I'd be like,
and with nothing but a spoon because this will do it.
I'd be like, hey love, let's just stay here. Like if someone's broken, just let him nick what's downstairs. We'll be silent. Just let him do it.
Not convinced that's going to put bums on seats in the cinemas, to be honest, pal.
Yeah,
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I like it when they play like tropes on their head, like when you expect something, then they go completely against it. I think I was watching Insidious the other night because that's like one of my favorites. And obviously, all the jump scares and all the scary shit is always meant to happen at night. But then, like, there was that scene when they're all at the table and he pops out behind him.
Yeah,
which I thought was a sick thing because you never expect it to happen. Not like when they're in the daytime. And the same with Smile as well, because I went to go see that because everyone's
not seen it yet. Don't spoil it for me.
I won't spoil it.
All right.
But there's a few times where they'll take things on the head. When you expect something to happen, they'll make you think about it and they'll do it another way. So yeah,
nice.
You're in for a treat.
That scene in Insidious, but that was because I've gotten like really good at guessing a jump scare. When I'm there like, hey, it's coming. But that one genuinely shit me up just because it completely caught me off guard. I was just like, oh, what the fuck? It just proper shit me up. I remember first time watching it, I jumped out my seat because it was just so unexpected, and I quite liked that from the film, like how it like just threw it in there.
I had to warm to that film, to be honest. I watched it. When did that come out? That was like
2009.
Yeah. I was like in that frame of mind back then. I wasn't really that bothered about horror films, and I wasn't really. I don't know. There was just a period of maybe like the early to, the first 15 years of the decade of let's say year 2000 onwards. I just wasn't asked about anything, and I think that fell into that kind of thing for me. But I saw the trailers for it, and that that was in the trailers, him popping out the fucking table, or whatever. And I watched it, and I was like, yeah, this fucking get me. This is good. This is scares pretty good. And then he went all weird. And he's going into fucking dreamland and all this kind of shit.
Yeah,
I was like,
that
it lost
me out.
But so I fucked it off when I was pissing me off. There's not watching this again. I went back to it maybe 2019, and I was like, okay, it's better than I remember it. Then I watched number 2, and it all kind of like made it worthwhile. So I can't remember specifically.
Ties at the dots.
That's what I meant. I can't remember specifically what it did, but I remember seeing the second one and going, all right then. I do like that. It made it work for me. So I need to go revisit them again, to be honest. I'm sure I'll get a much better time out of it now, seeing them, the two together. Because was the third one, the first two were related, the third one wasn't related?
No, I think not related.
Yeah, I think third one's just completely separate. I think
that
they just tried making a new Conjuring out
breathing
of it.
in fucking...
Yeah.
And then there's
one like the third one, but yeah.
I remember liking the third one because it wasn't quite related. Then there's one to do with the key. Something key.
Oh, the fourth one was absolute shit. This didn't know what they're doing with that.
Which one was that? What was that horror with? By the guy that made the original Conjuring with that last that has like growth in the back of her head that makes him murder people. Came out like recently. Can't remember.
Is it
Malignant?
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, that
fucking tongue twister.
That one one of my favorites.
I went in watching it expecting something and got something completely different, but I was happy for it because it was more like Because was it produced by, did James Wan do it?
Yeah, James Wan.
Wan
I think he wrote it, directed it, and produced it.
Because I was expecting more. I was expecting a James Wan film, like jump scares, serious, and it was all kind of a bit dumb and a bit odd. Do you know what I mean? That's what I quite liked about it. I was not expecting it to be the tone of the film to be like it was. And I was like, all right, fair enough. This is cool, man.
See, for me, that took me out because I was expecting the same.
Yeah.
But when I with what I got, I was just really confused the entire film.
I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good aspect because it took the audience in thinking this is going to be like Conjuring, like the new Conjuring franchise, and they were like, no, it's not.
It was more tongue in cheek when it was more. This is a horror film. Do you know what I mean?
It was more like silly. It reminded me of like the ones where it's like, no, we're just this is still like a horror film. But we're just having fun with it. Yeah. But that was the reason why I didn't like it that much because I was like, yeah, but I kind of signed up for this other thing, and I was really looking forward to this other thing.
I totally get that.
Like, giving me this, I don't know. What on like the subjects like sort of modern horrors and stuff like, what do you find like of the like the Midsummer Hereditary-esque sort of like style of like horrors that are coming out recently? Is it one for you? Is it one of those things
like Get Out as well? Yeah.
I don't find myself going back to them quite as much. Hereditary was great, but I've only seen it once, and because it feels like, again, that's a film you watch the one time and all the shots.
Absolutely,
it's a great watch, but it's not something you can just put on and watch again. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna wait to do it again. I watched Midsummer. Yeah, all right, it's cool. It's, quite interested in the fact that it was set in the daytime. All of it was kind of the juxtaposition of that was pretty cool. Get Out, I've seen a few times. That's pretty cool. It's just not. I like them, but it's not quite what I like within a film. I think I'm just still too tied to the 80s and that kind of the schlockiness of it, I guess. Do you know what I mean? The highbrow horror. It's got its place, but it's not particularly my favorite. But then again, I'm not saying I dislike it. It's just not quite me. Same with what was that one called where she's fucking the religious person. She puts pins in her shoes and walks around and punishes herself.
Oh, I know which one you're on about, but I can't remember the name.
What was that called? Sets fire to herself.
Yeah, I know which one you're on about. I've got it in my head.
Well, it's that same kind of film, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's like very highbrow, sort of like
just
horror.
Watch it once because you've seen it. It's great for what it was, I guess.
I thought I think they're interesting, like those types of films, but I think I agree with you that they've not got a lot of rewatchability.
Yeah,
like
definitely not.
That's probably my issue with them.
Yeah, you can't rewatch Hereditary because the main thing about that movie is the fucking ending, where you're there like, oh my fuck it, like makes everything make sense, and it's like it's just completely out of left field. You weren't expecting what was going to come or anything like that. It was just like completely insane, and like now you watching, you're like, man, it doesn't have the same magic. Like all the surprises.
I've not watched it since the first time I watched it.
Yeah, really? Like
I watched it the one time.
Those films, like we're going back to films that scarred you, like them two proper scarred me for some reason. But like again, they are just a watch once kind of thing. But I think they feel more like a horror experience. Like you go through like all the trauma. Like, it's kind of not enjoyable because it just makes you feel like this certain way. It makes you feel almost really uncomfortable to watch them. And even like the goriness of it, they do it in a way that it feels different to like watching a slap.
Yeah, weird. It's proper more like it's. So you watch films for like the shock value where it makes you laugh. You're like, fucking hell, that was brutal. Whereas films like that, you're like, what the fuck?
Fucking hell.
And I love that experience. But like I said, all those films kind of have elements of that, especially Hereditary. You've got that feeling like, fucking hell. Yeah. But it's gone then. You're not gonna get that back. But I appreciate that they do that.
I can't say
it's the point of the films.
I can't say I enjoyed watching them, to be honest. Like I appreciate them and I think they're masterpieces, but like I didn't fucking have a jolly old time watching them. I'm like, fucking hell, I don't think I can sleep after this.
Well, it's like my girlfriend Siobhan, she's not that great with horrors. I'm trying to like get her into him because she was like how I used to be. Like she would just refuse to watch him. And I thought, what's a good one to start her off on? And for some reason, I thought Midsummer.
Evil
So
It's
it
an
was
investment, isn't it? Fucking hell,
it wasn't-
2.5
it
hours
wasn't the
you're gonna get
best.
back.
It wasn't the best of choices.
Yeah.
Right? I'll admit that. Could have started off on something very, very light, but I was like, to be honest, felt like watching Midsummer. But I was like, do you want to watch Midsummer? She went, yeah. And she watched it and she went, I'm never, ever letting you recommend a horror film ever again. I was like, really? She went, because she was genuine. She went all the way through that. She went, that was the most uncomfortable watching experience of my entire fucking life. She went, I am never ever letting you choose the film.
Should have gone with something schlocky and fucking stupid. That's
exactly.
what
Mate, hindsight's 2020. You know what I mean? Like, I was there like, nah, I think she'll love this. It's got some really nice shots, everything like that. She likes really artsy stuff. I pop that on, and I was watching it with her going, yeah, I halfway through thinking, oh, it's too late to turn it off.
Out of all the films,
you've already committed.
Yeah, I was like, if she can get through this, then anything else I throw at her, she's gonna love. So we watched Hereditary recently as well, and that one, if anything, Midsummer lined her up to watch Hereditary. Fine, she loved that. So yeah, it was one of those things. It's like it paid off eventually.
Yeah. But even then, it's still a shocking watch as well. I'm surprised she had that feeling about Midsummer and not Hereditary. They both got that fucking...
Because she's more into the paranormal stuff.
Oh, okay.
She likes the paranormal aspects of things. Yeah. I think with Midsummer, it was very visceral. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't like, oh yeah, there's a ghost making these people do this. It was like all these people are choosing to do that.
Yeah.
And it makes it, that's what makes it creepier. Like with that storyline in the Hereditary, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can kind of understand that. But Midsummer, I think it's just a different sort of feeling that you get from both of the films.
Yeah.
Like The Witch were kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
Like, those films, it's like not a lot of rewatchability, but the first
I've watched it twice.
Oh, really? I've only watched it the one time.
I watched it.
Well,
I watched it with the missus. The missus had never seen it. I was like, give this a watch. It's fucking weird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's The Witch, isn't it? It's strange.
Well, it's like, I
need subtitles though. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. But I love the choice of how he went with the old English.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He absolutely needed subtitles. I said, love, we got to watch. Well, I mean, we watch everything with subtitles. And I went, this especially needs subtitles.
Like, the thing is, I thought that added to the film. Like, I feel like if they had just, like gone with modern English, it wouldn't have hit the same way. But like the way fucking like, it's just so creepy. Is the film like, because you're constantly like, what the fuck's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And when it finally does, it's not like this big climax.
No,
it's not at all. Like, it's just very
just a family deteriorating, just fucking losing their minds slowly in a cabin.
Well, I like it because it's like, it almost makes you question, did like the devil talking through the goat thing even happen?
Yeah.
Or what if like it was just a family that just completely deteriorated and they all went fucking nuts? Like, it's just, it could be like either ending could be the right ending. It's that's why I like it.
So obviously you've established that you gravitate more towards the 80s style of horror. Like, what would you say is like your favorite genre of horror? Because obviously you've got like psychological, you've got thrillers, you've got like the more paranormal stuff. Like, what would you say your casual viewing is of them? Like, what do you gravitate towards the most?
That's pretty tough, actually. I wouldn't say slasher. I do love slasher. Not that. We'll put it this way. My favourite horror film of all time is The Thing. And that's quite, it's science fiction, but it's got the creature effects that I like. Anything that's got good creature effects. I'd have to, you probably sci-fi then. Kind of like a sci-fi horror. Like I said, the Blob's been one of my favourites, and that's sci-fi horror on The Thing. So I guess that's my favourite kind of thing. But I couldn't necessarily say that's what I'd gravitate towards, because even that pool of films are not exactly fucking massive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ghost thing's probably not massive on my radar. Like, I like some of them, but I wouldn't say that's one of my favourites. It's tough, man.
Yeah, I think I want to watch The Thing again, because I've only watched it once when I was like really young, so I don't remember it much. But me and my girlfriend are like going from like the 1920s all the way to like 2020s, like, you know, like picking a film each from like each decade and working our way up. So we've done Nosferatu and we're sort of like going up. So we've got like 1950s next. But when we get to the Thing era, I'll have to do that. That's my choice.
You should. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. I think it was my uncle that got me onto the Thing first.
Yeah.
Because I once like I messaged him like, what's some like horror films that you remember when you were like a kid that you really liked? You go, oh yeah, watch the Thing. Watch that. It's a banging film.
Yeah, it's great.
It's funny that it's like a remake though as well. Like what we see as the original is the remake. Yeah. It's just like a funny little like paradox there.
Same with the Blob though. The Blob's a remake because the Thing, the Blob, both were like 50s films, and they just remade them and made them fucking 80s and amazing.
Oh yeah. Like I think it's because it's used. I don't know whether it's the practical effects that's a factor. I mean, it probably is because the remake of the Thing is shit. Like, but it's just like how like odd the effects look, but how like,
that's what happens. That's what happens when the studio gets involved. I mean, all the effects for the remake, they were all practical effects, but the studio last minute went no and just made them fucking pave over them with CGI.
Yeah, because I watched the pre-CGI like version of like the actual animatronics they use.
Yeah.
On YouTube, looks way better.
Yeah, it's
I just don't get why they didn't keep it.
Devastated. Why, you know, how can they not see why the 1982 versions lasted so long and why it looks so great? Because all the effects hold up. It's regarded so well. Don't get me wrong, it's directed fantastically. Jonathan Carpenter. Obviously the actors are great, but the fucking CGI, the practical effects, just keeps it. It's 1982. Look at it. Still looks fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It does. It really, really does hold up because like I remember watching it and I thought this is a fucking like such a good horror because there's sometimes where I watch something from like ages ago and the effects are not that great where I'm like takes me out every time I watch it, but that proper held up. But it's like they still look really good to this day. I just don't get when they thought, hey, we've got this film. It was known for its amazing practical effects.
Let's get rid of it.
CG it.
Not only did they spend the money on those practical effects, but then he spent more money to cover those fuckers up.
Why'd you do that?
With worse
how's that a good choice? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, I don't think there was anyone in that boardroom like, hang on, we did spend like 12 mil getting these things made. Don't you think it's a waste, lads? Even if they just went, fuck it, we'll keep like the really good looking stuff, like practical, but like half of it CG. Maybe that would have worked, but they went, nah, fuck it, all of it CG and ruined the entire thing.
It's nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, we've all talked about this, something there, and just like practical effects sometimes just look so much better, which is why I'm glad that the new Rings of Power series is like more practical than it is CGI, because you have stuff like The Hobbit, which is a great trilogy, but I feel like there's overly CGI, and I'm just like, nah, not for me.
Oh yeah, the orcs look absolutely shit in The Hobbit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What would you say then is your favorite horror movie soundtrack?
Fucking hell.
We're putting you on the spot here.
I mean, Carpenter is pretty well known for his good soundtracks, and I do appreciate his soundtracks, even though he didn't do The Thing. Who did The Thing? What's his fucking name? Oh, I can't remember his bastard name. Carpenter didn't do that one, but that soundtrack's fucking sick. Can't remember it off the top of my head right in a second. I like the score of Aliens.
Yeah,
that's fucking brilliant. Even fucking stuff like the Hellraiser soundtrack. Stuff like that. Anything that sticks in your head, anything that's, I like it when, for example, like that they'll stick to that kind of motif, that musical motif where you hear, for example, like Hellraiser, and you use the same similar soundtrack in Hellraiser 2, because you've got something that's fucking decent, so you reuse it, do you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe that kind of stuff. I can't think of who did all the music for it now, though, but James Horner did fucking Aliens. So you see a lot of the same composers doing the same film. So like, you'll get used to a certain sound of. So for example, like Predator, Alan Silvestri did that, and then you can hear some of his stuff, his other stuff that he's done. It's fucking Alan Silvestri, that kind of thing. I like being able to hear composers' like footprint. Do you know what I mean in other films, and I kind of like that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Leads nice into the next question. If Ingested were to write a film score, what film would it be for? If you could like rewrite one as the band, what would it be?
What maybe?
Kind of like what you think would be most fitting, or what you just want you'd like to do.
Well, if we're writing something, it's gonna be primarily metal in it. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna be fucking riffs and drums and stuff like that. So then you've got to kind of think what sort of film would suit that. Do you know what I mean? And then I don't think we could do anything in the 80s any justice doing that. So I wouldn't even want to touch it.
I feel like it'd be something like body horror, like related.
Do you reckon?
Something gory.
Yeah.
Would we get away with that though? I don't know. I reckon we could do Freddy versus Jason better than it did. Even though, even like some of the soundtrack on that kind of stuff, like 90s stuff. A lot of 90s ended up being band soundtracks. Like
it did.
Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, that was pretty much all just bands. Do you know what I mean? So I reckon maybe we could get away doing something like that. You know what I mean? Maybe redoing the Hellraiser 3 soundtrack and doing that kind of stuff. But yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I don't think I got the chops to do it. But you know, if someone asked me, you wouldn't say no, would you?
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, though, you might have a few Ingested bands go, I reckon Ingested fans just go, I'm going to put some Ingested to like some clips of Hellraiser.
You never know.
You know, you never know.
Blast beat as he's tearing people apart. Like, do you know what I mean? Fucking
Kingdom Fuck's playing.
Machine gun fucking blast beat. Like, hey.
Yeah, no, I think you guys would fit like in like somewhat like Hellraiser, definitely.
Yeah.
Like it would definitely like lend well to those scenes that are in there.
Like a zombie film or something.
Imagine a zombie film would work. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it'd have to be a fast-paced one though. You couldn't do the slow fucking movie one. Maybe we'd have to redo the fucking Dawn of the Dead remake, 2004. Yeah. That'd work because they're all running in that fucker, aren't they?
Yeah, they're down with the sickness, didn't they, for the last one? You could put like something else, Transcendence of Gods or something on it.
That'll do. Well, sneak that in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be sick.
So we got one last question for you. This is more just about you. What's like the most scared you've ever been, and do you have any phobias?
I used to be a bit funny with flying.
I'm terrified of flying.
Was not keen on that when I was a bit younger, but obviously since the band started touring, you've just got to get over that because we're flying fucking everywhere all the time. So maybe that's not there anymore. I used to have a bit of a weird one for snakes, but then again, I don't think I feel that anymore. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. They are freaky, to be fair.
I don't have something, nothing massively specific, but I don't have any phobias. It's like the missus and my daughter's fucking spiders for them, and it's just like, meh. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want a fucking tarantula near me, but a fucking house spider is whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't really want a snake near me, or a scorpion. No. Don't want any of that. I'm not particularly scared of it, but if it's in the room with me, I'm not having it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a fan of that shit.
We have a mate that like paid our other mate £15 Uber to come over and kill a spider for him, and then went home.
It was our mate Dylan. I'm outing him. Nice. It's our mate Dylan.
That's wild.
I mean, I'm not that bad, but like if there's like a specifically big one, it does make me jump. But I'm not gonna like run out the room.
Well, they're not great, are they? It's not satisfying seeing a big old fucking spider on your carpet, is it? To be fair.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? It's one of those things where I don't think I'm scared of them. It's just more like, oh, fuck
I'd rather you not be in here, mate.
Yeah, like it's just, I'd rather it not be there. Like I'd rather it just be outside. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm scared of them. Like I am terrified of flying though. Like that is the one thing. When me and Brad went to Budapest, that was a fucking task and a half. Like getting on that fucking plane.
Yeah, I used to heavily drink before I got on flights back in the day. But then it's like then you just start trying to think rationally. If this fucker's going down, I ain't gonna know much about it.
Yeah,
but it's you know what the thing is for me? It's like if it is going down, it's the moments in between. Like,
Well,
when you know it is.
they're gonna
like-
pop that oxygen down, right? They're gonna get you high as a fucking kite, and you're not gonna know what's going on. That's
Yeah,
the point
true.
of it.
True.
Accept your fate. Oh, we're gonna die. Okay.
No, you got more chance of dying in like a car crash than you do a plane crash. Like the chance of a plane crash are like so slim. It's just like it just seems more scary because I mean it will be more catastrophic, obviously, but like there's still less chance of it happening.
It's got a sock in it. Let's be honest. Oh, it's crashing into the ocean. Woo!
Honestly,
right, slide down the slidey, you'll be all right.
I
Trying
honestly,
to make it better.
I remember Brad and fucking Dylan trying to make me feel better about flying, and they was just saying the worst shit. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're getting on a plane, you don't want to hear anyone go, "Yeah, but if we do crash, it's relatively instant," or anything like that. You just want them to shut the fuck up and let you get on with it. But like Brad and Dylan were going, "Well, like statistically, you've got more like what you just said. Then you got more chance of dying in a car."
I understand the statistics. Does it make me want to fucking get on this bastard?
Yeah, it's like I'm well fucking aware.
Yeah.
That when a plane goes down, it's newsworthy. I am fucking well aware. Yeah, but doesn't mean that it's like that 1% chance might not be today.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just I was there like I was just sat there like, guys, can you just shut the fuck up and let me just get on the plane and like deal with it in my own fucking way?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a.
I should have just bought you a pint instead of fucking giving you a prep talk, man. Here's a pint.
Mate,
Take the edge off.
We had a pint like in the airport and like it didn't do shit because I haven't been on a plane since I was 7. So like this was like the first time leaving the country as an adult, and I was getting on the fucking flight, and I'm there like, all right, it's starting to set in now, and I'm on the plane, and when it's taking off, I was just there like, nah, I don't like this at all. Once we went in the air, I was fine, but it's just the initial like takeoff for me that makes me absolutely shit myself.
Yeah, it's not great. Fucking turbulence, man.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Well,
that makes you think you're going to die.
Well, that's the thing. Like we got turbulence on the way back because it was a night flight. And I'm not. It did it every time. Every time it did it, I'm like turning to like Brad, going, hey, "Is this meant to fucking happen?" And he's there like, "Yeah, it's turbulence."
Yeah, it's a speed bump in the sky. It's fine.
That's
I was just about to get to a breakdown. I was just saying,
like
him just fucking moaning to me.
When someone goes, think of it like a speed bump. You don't shit yourself when you're going over a speed bump. Yeah, because when I'm going over a speed bump, there ain't just fucking death right underneath the fucking speed bump. Do you know what I mean? Like,
fucking hell, yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a
pleasure,
great
man.
chat. And well, it'll be Halloween when this drops. So happy Halloween to everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
Watch the blob. Watch the thing. Your night will be better.
Yeah, I'm writing them all down. To be fair, my girlfriend was like, "You need to take a note of all the films he recommends." I was like, "I will do."
I'll send you some shit on Instagram. You watch all that crap.
Defo.
And yeah,
right, lads.
A Halloween movie night.
It's been a
keep
pleasure.
Keep Ingested.
Yeah, the fucking when is it out? November 4th.
Oh, nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Everyone should buy it.
I'm getting it on vinyl, mate. I got the last one on vinyl. I'm getting this one on vinyl.
Appreciate it, man. There's multiple colours. Buy them all.
Yeah, it's been great having you on, man.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Cheers.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye.